Hey, 7 p.m. in Frankfurt last Friday night, right? Friday night in Frankfurt, home of the Big Four, home of the season opener for the European Football Alliance, right? We had history. We had history as we embark on the new league, as we literally got a good sloppy, but we got a good game, right? 7 p.m. in Frankfurt last Friday. Sounds like a Drake timestamp. We're back in action. Athletes Farm Podcast, First Down Magazine, covering American football in Europe. Sounds like a beautiful slogan. We should add to the mix, right? Athletes Farm Podcast, First Down Magazine. What's going on, everybody? Shout out to the locker room. Drop a comment. Let's get active. Let's get in there right away. Let me know what you guys think in regards to how we felt about last Friday's night's game, how we felt about week 1 in the European Football Alliance, right? We're going to break down those games. We even got some film to watch, right? I got 2 reporters, right, covering this week's games. When it comes to who plays this week? Raiders versus Nordic, and I believe it's Prague going to Paris, right? So we'll talk about those games as well too. And then at the end, don't worry, all right? Don't worry, American. I won't even get to it. Right? Let's dive right into it. Hey, last week's games. Of course, we got to start with 7 p.m. in Frankfurt, right? The Paris Musketeers went to Frankfurt and stole a win. Highway robbery in Germany, right? Frankfurt. Paris squeaks this one out, winning 21-20. Let me give you my thoughts on the game. This was a defensive game. And honestly, it was a game that I was very encouraged by Frankfurt, right? Because this is a team that over the past couple of years, really their identity was their defense. And they lost that, it felt like each and every year. But this is a team that defense honestly looks good. Now, they can't get out of week 1. You saw the stat that the European Football Network put up there with how many times they've lost week 1. But it was encouraging to see Frankfurt's defense play well and Del Rio's defense as advertised, right? Now, it was definitely a week 1 game. It was sloppy, right? But 21-20, great competitive game. Let's talk about it. Let's dive into it from each team's perspective, right? We'll talk about the winning team first, the Paris Musketeers. Their defense was as advertised. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Frankfurt thought they had a good game plan coming into this game. They were attacked the middle of the field with digs, crossers, and breaking routes. Quickly, they adjusted. We started seeing a lot of one high looks, right? Started too high, moved down to one high, play cover 1 or cover 3, right? And we've been introduced to Yanni Godfell, who could potentially be, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, could potentially be a new defensive star in this league, right? He was making plays left and right. I believe he has 7 tackles, a couple PBUs, but even if you watch this film, and I had him on the all locker room team, even if you watch this film going into this year, I said it. This was a guy that, great middle of the field safety, knows how to read the quarterback, knows how to take angles, has great ball skills. And he showed that in regards to how he defended a lot of those in-breaking routes and really forced Frankfurt to adjust and play outside their game plan, and it didn't work. They started attacking the outside, trying to force the ball to Brevin Eason. Jamal Liggins wasn't happening, right? Couple things, though. Paris still they still show some tendencies from last year that I want to see fixed, right? And that is Del Rio could get happy playing a lot of man coverage, right? Who am I to question the defensive coordinator? But I'm just going off what I see on film. You look at last year's Frankfurt game during that 2-minute drill, they got caught playing man coverage. No one adjusted to Matthew McKay. He runs, gets in field goal range. They kick a field goal, game's over. And the game that Paris should have won. And they return the favor this year, and they win big as well too, right? So, their defense definitely played well. Still some tendencies I want to see clean up. But it was a week 1 game. For the life of me, and this goes back to last year, for the life of me, Paris cannot get off the field on 3rd down. 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, Paris has shown they struggle to go broke on the money down, 3rd down. the down you're supposed to get paid on, right? The down you're supposed to, start setting the quarterback up to force a turnover, right? I mean, my goodness, they can't get off the field. You think about some of the third downs that Frankfurt converted, whether it extended the drive or not, right? This is probably one of the most frustrating things about Paris right now is their third and mid to long defense, right? Because whether it's Ethan Garber scrambling for a first down, whether it's a cover 2 hole shot, he's sitting down on a fade ball, whether it's a 7 route he's converting to Paul Leinart, right? Or even if it's 2 minute, right? Frankfurt struggles to get off the field on third and medium. It's extremely frustrating. I'm interested to see how they adjust. On the offensive line, listen, first half, O-line struggled. Listen, trying to block Chris Malumba is a sin one-on-one, right? Trying to block him one-on-one is a sin, and he made him pay for that. He had a couple big plays, right, in regards to, like, getting to Zach or forcing the ball out of Zach's hands or forcing Zach out the pocket. So, it was interesting to see how they adjusted, right? How they adjusted. In the second half, because of the pressure they were getting, they tried to go more screen plays, try to slow down that rush, right? Ultimately, this game really got crazy in the fourth quarter. So listen to this sequence, right? It gets weird in the fourth quarter, right? And obviously we were all there for it. Frankfurt scores 14-7, right? Paris punts, Garber's fumbles, Zach throws a pick six, try to force it, Mason Chambers takes it to the crib. Mason Chambers we'll talk about. So 6:45 left in the game. 4 plays later, Zach touchdown attack at them. Tack them showed up great in this game. Whenever Zach needed a receiver to go to, he went to Tack. Tack was reliable the whole game, right? 5 minutes, 35 seconds, run the ball, Galaxy 4 plays later, punt, right? 4:33, Paris gets the ball back. Bad clock management. They kind of score, they score, right? And then they get the ball back again, 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Magic scores, right? Then Frankfurt gets the ball. Big play by Amlin. Frankfurt's cooking now, right? Now they're in there. They're trying to win the game, right? First and inches, nothing. Second, not enough. Third, too short. Fourth, they don't get it. Talk about having one of the best offensive lines in the league in all of Europe, and they don't get inches, right? Paris stole that one from Frankfurt, right? Paris stole that one from Frankfurt. Good, kudos to them. Zach became magic. Zach showed the year off. He still has some of the magic in him, right? And he was able to win that game. On the Frankfurt side, a lot of encouraging things. We talked about their defense. I'll tell you what, Mason Chambers is a dog. He got caught, right? He got caught on some plays in pass coverage, but I don't see a safety that reads run faster than he does and comes up and commits, right? So I'm a Mason Chambers fan. I'm excited to see how he plays throughout this game. Toby Naylor, great stop early in the game, forces a fumble. He showed like he's one of the best linebackers in the league. Garbers, I like Garbers. Pocket presence is good. He knows how to manipulate a little bit, gets the ball out quick, very decisive, knows where he's going and what he's reading. I like Garbers. I think he's going to continue to grow within this league and playing overseas for his first time, right? My main concern about Frankfurt is that they got away from the run. Second half, it was a clear understanding that they wanted to run the ball. And they started good, but really a lot of bad choices in regards to clock management late in the game where they could have melted that thing further down the line. We just talked about it was about 4 minutes on the clock or 4 minutes or something on the clock. They only run off 50 seconds in 4 plays, right? So second half, I have questions, right? Why didn't they stick to the run game, right? Why were they constantly going at Jamalcolm Liggins, who was locking up Brevin Easton, right? Great O-line, you can't get an inch. Disappointing loss for Frankfurt, right? But needless to say, Paris gets it done. And it's going to be interesting to see when these next 2 teams play and how that looks for sure, right? But yeah, very disappointing to say the least. All right, let's go on to our next game. Prague versus Nordic. Hey, listen, this is just an example of 2 teams that were on opposite sides of the spectrum, right? We'll start with the winning team first. Nordic's going to give you a lot to prepare for. I thought Jay looked great. I thought that O-line, especially on the edges at the tackles, looked great. Isaac Moore, Victor Stoffel, great, right? Love Larson, great. Defense, fast, physical. We're going to listen. As a former defensive player, I enjoy when the defense plays fast. All right. I enjoy when the defense plays fast, right? Nordic's going to be complicated because they're a team that gives you a lot of looks and they could operate at a lot of different formations, right? One, their receivers, great, right? Brandon Bolio, Evan Almeida. Simon Fonz didn't really have a big game. Jacob Green scores first touchdown for Nudek, right? On a post route, Prague was in quarters. Safety can't let the post cross his face. He did. Jacob Green scores. And Jay was cooking, right? It was encouraging to see Glenn back in action. Run game did get off to a little slow, picked up a little bit later in the game, right? Nordic's tight ends, whenever Jay needs a play, right, they're always open. They are always open, right? So Nordic looks polished. They didn't look like it was a week 1 game, right? Ludwig Myron coming off the edge, unblockable in that game, which is concerning for Prague. Now, I want to get into Prague real quick because this was disappointing for Prague because of the season they just came off of last year, right? This was disappointing for Prague because they proved that they're a better team than what they showed this year, or excuse me, what they showed on Saturday, right? Defense, solid versus the run, especially in that first half. Back half, we got some work to do. Because there were guys not really reading their reads when they should be, not really, locking up when they should be, not really performing the best of their abilities in the back seven. It is what it is. I thought the back seven was a little soft in coverage. Not saying they play soft, just again on the Jacob Green touchdown, right? Safeties in quarters, right? Quarter coverage, right? You can't let the post cross your face, right? You can't let the post cross your face. They were down in the high red. You need to be a little bit more aggressive because there's not even a lot of room back there, and they give up a touchdown. We'll dive into a play where I also thought on all levels really was the definition of Prague's defense in this game, right? James Brooks, whenever he mixed up a little bit more man, they got some traction in the game. But Nordic always had answers. Right, Nordic always has had answers when it came to whatever defense, whatever coverage that James Brooks was going to throw at them, Brock. And I think on the other side of that, Prague didn't have answers. Point blank. Period. I don't know what the game plan was, right? And I don't know what the thoughts were approaching. But just coming from watching the film, which we'll get into here in a second, they just didn't have answers, right? Let's go to the film, actually. All right. I want to go to the film. So, granted, this film, late in the game, all right, I fully understand that. But I just want to point out 4 things on this play right here that really made me personally frustrated watching the Prague defense, right? So, it's late in the game, not late in the game, third quarter is 34-7, right? Right. So, we'll play it a little bit. First things first. All right. We got the edge guy coming off as a contained rusher. What's a contained rusher? Contained rusher is you're basically blitzing, nothing can get outside you. However, if you get what is called mesh to you, which means quarterback is handing the ball off, right? But it's coming to you, right? Versus seeing the quarterback's back, mesh to, you knife and make a play. Reason why that's important. Let's play it. So this is the contained rusher right here, right? Mesh to him. He sees the ball. Knife right now to make that play. This could be a loss. Just come flat right down the line, make that play. And maybe we don't see Glenn get in the end zone, right? But what happens here? He sees it too late, goes too far up. Now he's missing the angle, right? Glenn scores a touchdown. Now, there's some other things that happen in that play as well, too. Let's dive into it, right? We're going to see from the end zone copy. All right, perfect. So let's see it from the end zone view, right? I'll pause it here, right? Again, edge rusher or contained rusher, he should knife and make this play. Play should have been stopped at the line of scrimmage, right? He comes up, mesh 2, knifes in. I'm talking about this guy right here, 32. Now, I want you to look at 24 and 0 Barkovic, right? And then the corners out here, right? Watch what happens with these guys, all right? So we're playing it. One, stop. Play, guard is clearly, mesh is clearly going this way. Guard is pulling this way. Barkovic, what are you looking at, right? 24, what are you looking at? It's a rhetorical question. They're staring in the backfield. They're not reading their assignments, right? The linemen bring you over here, right? You should be scraping across over here, moving your gap, so that way there's not a huge hole right here, right? Incredibly frustrating. Now, on the other hand, the corner out here, I believe this was Guilford. You're getting down blocked. Show up now. Show up now, right? Again, contain rusher. Mesh 2, now, go. Barkovic, read the guard, go. 24, read the alignment, go. Corner, show up. This play should be stopped right here. 16, who started over here, should not be beating 24 to the tackle. West is doing his job as containing. He's a little late, right? But 24 should be right here. 16 should be right here, right? Following Barkovic coming across here, right? But that doesn't happen. They get caught reading or staring in the backfield, right? I'll rewind it one more time. Now watch it in fast motion. Just look. What are you looking at? 16's at safety. He gets there before 24, right? And even if he gets there, he's supposed to force that back inside. So, listen, it was incredibly frustrating. And I think, yeah, you could point to one play. Disclaimer, again, I don't know the game plan. Hindsight's always 2020. But watching stuff like that where guys are clearly missing their reads and assignments is frustrating. It's frustrating, right? So, when we look at on the offensive side, listen, Prague needs another weapon. They need a third weapon, right? Because it was very Willie P heavy, right? They need another guy to step up. I don't know if that's a tight end. I don't know if it's a second back. I don't know if it's another receiver, but they need another weapon on offense to give Jalen one more piece, right? Also, I would like to see Jalen more on the center. I think play action is a little bit more effective under the center, right? And listen, they're going to get it right. Listen, this week we're not going to get crazy here, but we got to find things in regards to look out for, so that way when they improve in the season, we could always bounce back. But listen, Nordic gets a dub, 47-13. They did what they were supposed to do. All right, they did what they were supposed to do. All right, let's go to the Battle of the Alps. All right, the Battle of the Alps, Raiders Tyrol, Munich Ravens. This was an interesting one. Stick with me, right? Raiders Tyrol versus Munich Ravens, right? We always start the winning team, Munich. Bijan on the first play, bro. On first touch, first sight, first kickoff, we're going to the crib with it. Listen, Bijan just, he picks up where he left off, right? Kick return to the crib to start the game. Offense, similar to Nordic, everyone eats, right? Lewis Guy gets a touchdown. Malik Stanley gets a touchdown. Paul Conkle gets a touchdown. Justin Rodney, Russell Tabor, Marvin Roosh, right? Everyone gets love in Munich's offense, right? So that offense is going to be dangerous. If not one, definitely top two in the league. O-line dominated. O-line dominated the whole game. Russell Tabor was kept clean for most of the whole game. Tabor time looked great. He looked polished, right, compared to his first start last year in the ELF. Defense looked fast, physical. Now, they had some blunders, right? Bijan got caught on a 7 route in the end zone to Tony Robinsteiner while he was in cover 3. You can't let anyone get behind you in cover 3, right? And then Nitz got caught by probably the best receiver in the league, Ajax, right? Aaron Jackson, right? Who looked good, by the way. I got to tell you, Ajax looked good, by the way, right? He did his thing for sure, right? So there's some work that they need to clean up. But the overall, Munich, they did what they were supposed to do. They tried to bully the Raiders. On the other side, let's start with the Raiders offense. Everyone had questions about Steven Krajewski. I like Steven. I like what I saw from Steven. I like the guy who shows that he could battle, shows that, he's a competitor, right? Big body guy, Ben Roethlisberger, mobile type of guy, right? I like the quarterback that they got. I think their OC and Coach Kusler, I think he called a good game. I don't think the offense really got much help from the defense in playing complementary football, but I think their offense is fine. Now, They found some things on Munich's offense on the weak side, running weak side, running to the boundary. It's going to be interesting in regards to how a East-West run game compares with running backs who are more north-south. So it's something to keep an eye out on for sure, right? But I like that they battle. I like that they battle a lot. On the defensive side, the main concern I had was their D-line, and it didn't look good. It didn't look good. They couldn't get a pass rush. They couldn't get off blocks, right? They got bullied. They got bullied by the Munich offensive line. And granted, it's one of the best teams in the league. However, in a rivalry game, I need to see more competitiveness. I need to see more fight. Now, granted, they fought to the end, right? They still put up 30-something points, right? But the D-line struggled. Also has some questions in regards to some of the calls that were made, right? Again, let's go to the film. This is my disclaimer. Hindsight's 2020. I don't know the game plan. I'm just going off personal experience and how I'm going to break down this film, right? So let's go to the film. All right. Third quarter, right? 33-17. Munich clearly saw something in the first half when it came to how the Raiders were playing them, right? So Munich, they come out, gun far trips. What does that mean? Trips to the strength, back away from the strength, gun far trips, right? That's what they come out in, right? They push, right, and motion to empty, right? Now, from personal experience, playing empty, there's a couple ways you could go about this. You could go straight cover zero in a double mug look. What does that mean, right? Outside the tackle, outside the guard, outside tackle, D-line's outside the guard. You walk your two linebackers up in the A-gap, double mug look, right? Because now you're forcing the offensive lineman, okay, what are we doing here, all right? Are we manning up the protection? If you man up the protection, right, with 6 showing, one guy's coming free, right? If you slide the protection, right, one guy's coming free on the outside, right? Because they don't know. They're going to have to react. And most of the times, for me, what we did in college is we'll show that double mug. Whoever the center picks up, if they decide to man it, right, that guy will back up, the other guy will come. Or if they slide the protection, right, that means the edge is going to be open. So one of them are going to rush, the other one's going to drop. So cover zero, double mug look, that's how you could do it. 1, 2, you could go straight cover 1. Cover 1 is at least they'll give you some guy in the middle to protect or watch for quarterback scramble. Hint, hint. Or you could just go cover 3. But going too high versus empty, from my personal experience, I don't think was a good call. I think that this should have been adjusted. All right. So you see, empty. Right? I don't like the numbers right now. Right? We're going to play it. QB draw. Right? These guys are going out. Right? It's 2-man. Right? It's 2-man. These guys are going to play in and out. These guys are playing in and out. So, for example, if this guy goes inside, he's going to pick him up, and he'll pick him up. But if they both go out, it's man coverage. Same over here, right? So they're comboing these, right? But it leaves this vulnerable. It leaves that vulnerable, the middle of the field, and watch what happens. 9-9 Iron. 9-9 Iron. And then that happens. Right? And then it's Tabor time. So too high versus empty, in my personal experience, based on me playing in college, never gave you the numbers, right? Never gave you the numbers. So I question the game plan when I see calls like that, right? But I'm curious to see how they bounce back. They got a big one. They're going up against a similar type offensive firepower. How do they bounce back? How they learn from experience. One thing I do know is that offense, they could cause some teams some trouble. So we're gonna see how all that pans out. But the Battle of the Alps, love that game, love that rivalry, right? It's an amazing rivalry. Munich wins over the Raiders T-Roll. So we recap. Now let's go into week 2. So, right, as we head into week 2. Again, we're partnering up with First Down Magazine. I got some reporters that are going to be at the game. So we're going to ask them questions in regards to what they think, how they feel going into this game. So the first one we're going to talk about, once this thing loads, first game we're going to talk about, Raiders Nordic. All right. Rasmus, who was going to be reported for First Down Magazine, he will be at the game, right? He was kind enough to really give his thoughts on the game, right? So let's welcome him to the locker room as he breaks down his thoughts on Raiders versus the Nordic Storm.
So I'm here to talk about the matchup this week. The Raiders are going to play against the Storm in Copenhagen, and it's an interesting matchup because I think the Raiders obviously lost pretty big against the Ravens, and the Storm won pretty big against the Prague Lions, and but I still think there's some things that the Raiders can take advantage of. So they obviously have weapons. We saw a great play from quarterback Steven Krajewski, or how you say it, and they have great running backs that had, at least last year, had great success in Bonatti and Hasselvanta, and this year also Tonko, and their weapons we saw last week. Aaron Jackson take off, and I think he's the leading reception guy right now. And of course Snyder and Platzkum as well. So they have weapons, and I think something to watch for is how they can if they can win in the trenches. So I'm an old offensive lineman. I like to talk about the trenches really. If they can win the trenches, because I think that's one of the weak points maybe on the Storm is especially depth at defensive line. So if that Raiders offensive line can get going against the Storm defensive line, I think they can take advantage of a thin backup at least. And then also the matchup of Aaron Jackson, if he's getting covered by Maceo Beard or Mitch Fedek, one of those two guys or both, I don't see Aaron Jackson having the same success this week with that matchup. And then they have to find somehow to get pressure on Jaden Clark, because we saw last week if he doesn't, like, he wasn't touched. He didn't have to wash his uniform. He could play that game in a wheelchair if he wanted to. He didn't even. I don't think he got a rushing yard, and I don't think he was touched at all for the whole game against Prague Lions. So, and if he gets that opportunity, he will pick you apart. He will pick any team apart. I think he threw 5 touchdowns and probably could have gotten 2 more if they didn't want to give Glenn Tunga his 2 as well. Yeah, so they have a lot of weapons in the Storm, and if he can just sit there, he's going to pick him apart. Yeah, so that's my.
Appreciate you, Rasmus. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game. Raiders versus Nordic. Interesting contrast of matchups here, right? Nordic will be tested, right? I'm confident that Nordic or that the Raiders can scheme a game plan together. Maybe this is the week they go more run heavy, right? Maybe this is the week we start seeing a little bit more power. I think if the Raiders O-line can work and get to that second level and be physical, especially at the linebacker position or at the DBs, in an odd man front, which is what the Nordic likes to run, 3 down linemen, I think this could be a run-heavy type of game. I think this could be a Bunati, Hasselvanta type of game. So it's going to be interesting to see, even a Steven Krajewski type of game, right? One thing I do disagree with Rasmus is that I think Ajax, I think he's the best receiver in the league. All right. And I don't know if there's a corner on the Nordic defense that could cover him one-on-one. However, with him being moved around a lot, he's not just going to have to play outside. So he's not just going to get Khaled or Mace. He'll get a little bit of Mitch as well, too, depending on how they roll coverage, or even if they double him, right? If I'm Nordic, I'm forcing Marco Schneider, Platzgummer, Robin Steiner, Sarah, right? I'm forcing those guys to beat me. Ajax ain't beating me, right? And then defensively, listen, Raiders, you just got to bounce back up front, right? I think they could be a little bit more competitive what Prague was defensively, but that's going to depend on how their D-line plays. That's going to depend on how their D-line plays. As he just said, they have to get the Jadrian, right? And I'm not sure if whatever they do, whether it's drawing up pressure, whether it's simulated pressure, whatever it is, they have to get the Jadrian. That's going to be key, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out, right? How does Coach Fatah bounce back with the how do the Raiders bounce back? This is going to be the first time the Raiders go to Nordic, right? And play the Storm. And I think it's going to be a good game, right? I think it's going to be a good game now that this film, right? Now things may get a little bit more tighter. We'll see how everything pans out. I think Nordic wins this game, right? As we advance to week 3 in regards to who they play next. So Raiders, Nordic, I'm going to take the Nordic Storm to win this game. Now, let's go to this one because this one is different on a lot of different levels, right? But before we break down this one, again, we have another First Down Magazine reporter that's going to be at the game recording the game. So let me welcome our guy, Wake, as you saw last week's episode, to the party.
This week, my Paris Musketeers, who came off of a very close win in Frankfurt against the Galaxy, take on the Prague Lions, who lost in a big way against the Nordic Storm last week. And the story of the game is that Jalen Henderson is going to be back in Paris, but in another uniform. So it will be really, really interesting to see how he performs, given that the Prague Lions are not favorite in this game. It will also be interesting to see if Paris's offense is going to play better than it did last week against Frankfurt. So tune in on Saturday night for the Paris Musketeers game against the Prague Lions at Stade Bauer for the first home game of the Paris Musketeers this season.
Hey, what a game we got. What a game we got. We got the girl you're married to versus the girl that you might have thought the grass was greener with. Not by choice. We all know because Zach left, but you get what I'm trying to say. Jalen Henderson returns to Paris. There's no ill will here. This is not a get back game, so to say. This is, listen, the way they panned out is how they panned out last year, right? There's nothing. There are a lot of factors going to it. They almost made the playoffs. They were a good competitive team, right? Paris often still have issues with, getting in rhythm. So this is going to be a great game because you look at the quarterbacks in this game. We got Magic Zach, who we just saw the performance he had. We know what his history is. We got Jalen Henderson. We know what his potential is. We saw last year him willing Paris the games, win sometimes. So, keys in this game. Prague defense, got to play better. We just broke down Prague defense in regards to the guys not reading their assignments, eyes not where they're supposed to be, right? Little details. Defense got to play better, right? I think they're athletic enough to play against a Magic Zach team. Obviously, we know he likes to play off script. I think they're athletic enough to do that, but they got to play better, right? They got to play more sound. I think, believe it or not, defensively, they match up well versus Paris, right? Because Paris' O-line is not no home wreckers, right? They're not no home wreckers. So Prague's D-line can match up against them. And I think on the secondary, listen, the corners can match up. All right, they can now. I think this could be an Austin Mitchell game if you don't got somebody to cover him, because you're gonna leave Hike on Takadam, you're gonna leave Wes Guilford on whoever plays, whether it's Hugo Das or Remy or whoever. Whoever is covering Austin Mitchell is gonna have their hands full in this game, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see how they do that. Are they gonna double Austin, right? It's just going to be interesting to see how James Brooks pulls this together. But I think this is a better matchup for Prague than the Nordic was. So I think this game will be closer. Offensively, I think they got to give him more rhythm. Listen, I like Fred. I talk to him all the time. Personally, I would like to see them go on the center more. All right, a little bit more of a power scheme, a little bit more get Adams, Zuzelka downfield more. Who's going to be the third option to step up? Radim Kalusk almost was a no-show versus Nordic. We need him back in action. He should be playing better. Now, I don't know, injuries, whatever that is, all right, but he should be playing better. This can't be Willie P heavy because you're going up against a secondary that has length, that has size, speed, right? And you get them playing with confidence. Paris secondary got some bullies back there, right? Jalen Henderson, don't let the emotions overwhelm you, right? It's just another game on some grass, man. And I know he's not going to, but those are some of the keys to look forward to in this game. Now, Paris, the offense has to get going early, all right? Now, I would like to see Nicholas Kandar start the game. I think they had a lot of success with him, right? And then the O-line, again, this is going to be a good matchup, good test for them, right? Hugo Doss, again, had a lot of drops early in that Frankfurt game, but bounced back with some big catches later in the game, right? And then Tack's their number one receiver. Tackadam is their X for me. I like him a lot. He's really proven to be that guy that's been passed the torch from a Dable Wolf, from an Anthony Mahungu. Now it's Hugo Tackadam, right? So I like Tack a lot. Defensively, hey, listen, this defense is going to be fun to watch. This defense is going to be fun to watch. The one thing I want to see is, can they get off the field on 3rd and medium, 3rd and long? We just talked about how it dates back to last season and how this team performs on those sequences. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. I think this one's close. I think Prague, if they could be physical and really get the run going, they have a chance to win this game. Don't get it twisted. They will have a chance to win this game. I'm going to rock with Paris, though, right? I'm going to rock with Paris, though, just because I didn't like how Prague played, and I want to see at least one more week of adjustments in the capability of what they could play for. Don't get it twisted. Prague can go to Paris and upset Paris. All right, do not get that twisted. But I think Paris pulls this one out, right? There we go. Week 2 matchups. Sorry it says week 1 down there. I just noticed it said that. Week 2 matchups are set in stone. Listen, 4th down fiasco. Who is going to be who's going to be the fiasco player of the game? I'm excited to see how that pans out. It's going to come out today. So stay tuned, right? And granted, I know it says week 1, should say week 2. I want to thank Wake. I want to thank Ramos, the reporters, First Down Magazine. They're going to be at the game. Tune in. It's going to be a great Athletes Forum podcast, First Down Magazine, covering the European Football Alliance. Week 2, baby.